everyone. So I thought I would do this vlog. I figured I would try to do this every month if I can, and I only want to do like 2 books at a time, so I figured it's much easier for me. So I ended up finishing off, last month I was talking about this book, so I ended up finishing off the Charlene Harris Dead Until Dark series, or Dead Until Dark, the first book. This one here, I wanted it to compare it with the TV show and kind of like talk about like a little bit of the differences. So with this one here, I did feel like this book here is mainly it's more of a paranormal, like paranormal fantasy, and it has like a mystery to it because, you know, there's a killer out there. I felt like that was more first, and there is a romance, but it's more secondary. And the romance is not, I'll just say, like, I don't feel the connection between Sookie and Bill. So Sookie, if anybody doesn't know, Sookie Stackhouse, she's basically sort of, you know, not really psychic. It says that she's, yeah, she calls her thing like a disability. Basically, she can read people's minds. So in this world, you know, it's in the South, like, I think it's Louisiana. Yeah, Louisiana. It's in Louisiana, and it is now legal to mix with, you know, like vampires and stuff like that. Before it was like illegal with vampires. Now it's legal. Now they have like kind of like seats on the table when it comes to like owning businesses, different things like that. So Sookie works at this bar, and one day in walks in Bill, and so she befriends him, and they start to kind of like get involved with each other and everything. And then all of a sudden murders start happening. So of course the local sheriffs, detectives, you know, in their small town suspect vampires. So Sookie's like kind of like going through her everyday life. She lives with her grandmother. She has a brother named Jason. And I will say, like, the differences between this book and the series is that, first of all, there's a character named Tara in the series that's best friends with Sookie. There's no Tara in here. There's no best friend Tara. There's a character named Charlsie. It's C-H-A-L Chalsie, C-H-A-L-S-I-E. That character is not in the show. So that's the difference. And then also, Lafayette, that's in the show, was in a lot more of the episodes for the first season than Lafayette was in here. Lafayette's definitely more of a background character, where I really liked Lafayette on the show. So they kind of added more stuff with that character. And then they also kind of left out some characters. And I'm wondering, is there a Tara at all in the series? Or is that a character they created for the show? Because, like, you know, like when it comes to The Walking Dead, there was no Daryl in the graphic novels. They created Daryl for the show. So I'm wondering if it's the same thing with Tara. They created this character of Tara and her mother. You know, her mother's an alcoholic. And in here, there's no Tara, you know? So she basically is getting targeted for this killer. And so I gave it 4 stars. I did like the book, but I will say, like, if you're looking for a romance in this one here, I don't feel like it's really much of a romance. There is like a romantic subplot between her and Bill, but I honestly don't feel the connection between her and Bill. And then at the end, you have this whole thing of like the one vampire, Eric, which is basically like he runs the district area. He's like 1,000-year-old Viking vampire, tall, blonde, you know, and all that stuff. Very much is like the actor Alexander Skarsgård played Eric on the show. That's what I was picturing. I was picturing him. And he obviously is looking at Sookie in a way of like, he's interested in her, you know? And so toward the end of this book, you can see obviously there's a little bit more of a romantic connection between Sookie and Bill. But honestly, like me rewatching the series, the TV series, for one, it's a lot more steamy in the series than it is for this book here. If you're like getting into romance, this probably would be the one, because there's not really a lot of romance in here. And also the sex scenes are not highly descriptive. There are sex scenes in here, but they very much are not descriptive. Like, you know, it's a lot of like other things and then it's over, you know? So I'm like, it doesn't go into like full description of the sex. So to me, it doesn't feel romantic. It kind of feels more anatomical, you know? Like he put it in, she orgasmed, that type of thing. So it really does, you know, to me, I feel like it really doesn't have the romantic element in it that the series obviously does. The series very much is like sex, sex, sex. Like how many episodes these characters are having sex. Like Jason has had sex how many times in the first season. And I'm like, man, you stop being a whore. He is a slut. And so I'm like, dude, keep it in your pants. He definitely is like, has like had sex with how many women. 2 of them were women that he slept with that ended up getting killed. So he was kind of like a prime suspect for a little bit. And so for this one here, I feel like with the book, it definitely is a more mellow type of, you know, less sexual. Where the first season, I'm almost done with the first season of True Blood. I have like 2 more episodes to go before I'm done and I get into the second season. But it's very similar to the book, I will say that, like very similar. But the only thing that's different is that the series, like I said, is a lot more sexed up. And that's probably why the series like did so well, is because of the constant that. So with this one here, there was not that. It didn't have a lot of that. It was mainly, like I said, more of a paranormal fantasy, mystery, you know, where it's like, who's killing these women, you know, who's killing these people. Also, there was no, in the first season, Jason and this woman kidnapped this vampire. There was nothing of that in here. Nothing of that. That was like an extra thing they added into the show. That was not in the book. So now I'm going on to the second book. I'm going to start reading that soon, because once I finish off the second season or first season, then I'm delving into the second season. So once I delve into that, I definitely want to read this one here and see what goes on with the second book and see how accurate the second book is compared to the second season of True Blood. But I will say, like, if you are not into a lot of sex, like when it comes to books, you probably would like this series so far, because so far, I'm like I said, with the first book, really, there was some sex scenes, but like I said, they're not very descriptive. I didn't feel the connection between her and Bill. You know, supposedly, like they loved each other, and I'm like, I don't feel it. I'm like, I don't really feel it. I kind of feel like a connection between her and Eric, and that's probably why people were mad with the last book of the series, because they wanted Sookie to be with Eric, and that's not what happened. FYI, if people don't know that, this book came out, these book series came out like how many years ago? So I'm not really spoiling anything unless you're, you know, that much, you know, head in the sand kind of thing. I've already watched like all of the how many seasons of True Blood, so this is kind of like refreshing myself with the series. But I will say, like, when it comes to the sex scenes in the show, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm turning into a prude where I'm like, I don't like watching them. I'm like, I get to the point where they're starting to have sex and I'm just like, can we get past this? Let's get to like something else. I've kind of gotten to the point when it comes to shows where I'm like, I'm tired of sex scenes. I'm just tired of it. So yeah. Anyways, I will come back with I'll just say like when I'm finished with this book, I'll do an update and tell you what I think about that. So, you know, for this here, it's going to be, you know, it'll be a while before I update again. So we'll see. But I wanted to start this now, and then, you know, after I figured, you know, once I kind of get my mind into like getting through like the second season and then delving into this one here, like in the daytime, try to get through like how many chapters and then update. So that way this vlog is not super long. So, but yeah, anyways, I will update you when I get done with book 2 and season 2 and see like, I'll see like how far I get into season 2 before maybe I have to stop, because it all depends on like how far in the books it has gone, you know. I don't want to get too far ahead in the series and then I'm like, oh wait, I need to read how many books before I catch up to like, you know, the season or something. So I'd rather do that. I'd rather kind of like take it slow with the series until I kind of like get through this book here. And once I get through the second book, then I kind of binge through like how many episodes of True Blood. So yeah, anyways, that is what I plan on doing. So I will update you all later. Hi everyone, so it's been how many days? It's been how many days? And I am about on chapter 4 of Living Dead in Dallas. And I decided to hold off on any more True Blood episodes because I do need to kind of like get through this book. But I will say, like, the chapters, honestly, I hate long chapters. It's the one thing I don't like, is I do not like long ass chapters. Now let me go and find here. This chapter from chapter 4 to 5 is this long. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 fucking pages. 37 pages to get to the next damn chapter. So, once I get through like at least 2 more chapters, I'm going to be like halfway through the book. So this one here, I could already tell what is different in this book compared to the second season of True Blood. Like, spoiler, if anybody hasn't read the series, there's a character on True Blood that was there the entire time of the show. This person was killed in the second book. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, Charlene Harris already killed off this character. And I'm like, dang. I'm like, okay, so obviously they decided in True Blood, the show, that they really liked this character and decided to give them a bigger role. Because the person in here did not have a big role at all in the first book. The first book, it was like, he was barely there. You know, I'll just say it's a he. He was barely there. And also, I noticed there's no Jessica. There's no Jessica in this book at all. And I looked it up and I'm like, that's something they added to the show True Blood, is they added a part of the secondary storyline, you know, all the different storylines that Bill would create basically almost like a progeny, you know, with Jessica. And there's no Jessica in this. And I was like, wow, that's so different. You know, the direction they decided to go down with the show compared to, you know, how the books are. And as I said before, these books definitely are more toward, if you are not into high spice, you don't have to worry about this here. Like, the show has a lot more sex, you know, than these books here. Okay, now here's a thing toward the end of chapter 3, where it says, I swung around to face him, because it's first person, you know, for her, Sookie. I swung around to face him, my hands on my hips. What on earth are you talking about? This. He scooped me up in the classic Rhett Butler carrying stance, and though I was wearing slacks rather than a long red negligee gown, Bill managed to make me feel like I was as beautiful, as unforgettable as Scarlett O'Hara. He didn't have to traipse up any stairs either. The bed was very close. Most evenings, Bill took things very slow. So slow I thought I would start screaming before we came to the point, so to speak. But tonight, excited by the trip, by the imminent excursion, Bill's speed had greatly accelerated. We reached the end of the tunnel together, and as we lay together during the little aftershocks following successful love, I wondered what the vampires of Dallas would make of our association. So see, that was a sex scene. That was a sex scene. Not detailed. You know, if that's what you're not looking for, you're not looking for that type of, you know, stuff. You're not going to find it with this here. I don't know if it maybe gets a little bit more graphic as the series progresses, but right now, it really isn't. So I'd say, you know, I still consider it it's a paranormal fantasy with a mystery in it, you know. And then there's like a little bit of a romance, you know, between her and Bill. And like I said, I still don't feel the connection with these characters. I don't feel the connection between Sookie and Bill. I really don't. I kind of get like a little bit more of a spark with Eric Northman and Sookie, you know. The other thing I noticed that's different is that there is a character of Tara in here. She owns a business. The character of Tara is white. On the show, she's black. And Tara had more of a prevalent role in Sookie's life, you know, where they grew up together. And and Tara's mother was an alcoholic on the show. In here, no, it's not. It's not the case at all. So it just shows you how different the show started to span off into different things than how it was here at the, you know, beginning, basically. So that's pretty much my update for right now, is that I'm hoping I kind of get through at least a chapter today, possibly 2, if I'm lucky. But I really haven't been in the mood lately to read this one, especially because I'm reading like another book. I'm about to DNF it because I'm not enjoying it. I'm not. You'll hear my thoughts. You will hear my thoughts at the end of the month because, yeah, I'm not enjoying myself. And like, I don't want to talk about a bunch of DNFs, but this one here, it's like, it is very disappointing. It's a disappointing read, you know, for the one I'm about to DNF. But this one here, it's good. It's just, it's slow. It's more slow paced. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to find it in here. It's not super fast paced. So I would say people might get bored with, you know, this series. But so far it's not bad. You know, she has to head to Dallas with, Bill, for a favor from Eric, because Eric basically helped her out. And so she had stated to him before, like, you know, I'll help with this, but you have to help me, kind of thing, you know. So that's pretty much how it is, where he's like, hey, you know, I'm claiming that favor you you went and wanted me to have for you in the first book. So he's basically doing it. So they're about to head to Dallas, and deal with, you know, all the stuff that goes on with that. So we'll see what happens there. But I would say, like, my next update will be, you know, when I finally finish this book and, you know, go from there. But yeah, so far it's not bad. I have been slowing way down on my reading. I've been getting to the point where I barely read anything right now, where I may read like a chapter or two of something, and then the next day I kind of move on to like another chapter of like something else. So I'm kind of balancing like 3 books right now currently because of my mood and the way it is, where I'm like, I don't feel like this book right now, so I kind of pick up a different one, and then I'm not feeling that book, and then I pick up a different one. So I'm kind of going back and forth, like juggling, you know, my books. So, but yeah, that's it for this update. So I will update you all later. Okay. Last update before I'm finished. So, I'm here. I'm almost finished with it. I'm really like pulling through. I kind of put this book down for a little bit and started reading something else because I was getting bored. I'll just say that. I was getting bored. This one here, there's so many differences in this book compared to the series. Like, season 2 has this whole like subplot of this woman who comes into Bontemps, I think that's how they pronounce it, Bontemps. I say Bontemps, but I think it's like Bontemps because it's that southern thing. And this woman comes into the town and kind of wrecks like havoc, because she starts like creating, like, the people she hangs out with, they start like getting all loose and you know, just like bringing out their wildest fantasies or their wildest behavior, like stuff that they probably would never do, you know. And she like feeds off of it, like feeds off of like sin and things like that, because she is some type of creature, something, you know. Like, I haven't finished season 2 yet of watching it, but I don't remember what she was exactly. But at the beginning of this book, Sookie, there was a main character death that was in the show. He obviously wasn't a main character. He was a side character, but I thought of him as a main character. I'll just say that. I love the character in the show. He's dead in here in the second book, and I'm like, man, that just ruins my whole like day, you know, that this person's gone. And so she ends up getting, you know, her and Bill fight again, and I'm just like, why are they together? You know, like they fight more than they're together. I just honestly I'm just like, Sookie, why are you even with Bill? Because you clearly, like, you don't want to be a vampire, you know, so you know this relationship's never going to go anywhere because you don't want to be a vampire. You don't want to turn into a vampire, you know, for him. Her brother is like an ass, an even bigger ass than he was on the show, you know. Like, Jason on the show was like, he was different. Like, he definitely was a jackass. He would do a lot of stupid stuff, but it's like he wasn't homophobic, you know. Like, he wasn't homophobic on the show. In here, he's like, you know, homophobic. I'd say vamp-phobic, you know. The other differences in here, obviously there's no Jessica in here. Bill never turns Jessica, where season 2 he's forced to turn Jessica into a vampire. There was none of that here. And then also, you know, like, they go to Dallas and all this other stuff, and they're dealing with like the fellowship, where in season 2 Jason is dealing with the fellowship. Like, he joined the fellowship, you know. The fellowship are basically like these what you know, say like Christian, they're Christian vampire hunters, I guess you could say. Like, they don't like the vampires. They want the vampires gone. They don't want vampires in existence, which on one hand, I kind of can understand, because vampires are killing machines. If you allow them into your society, that type of thing, they kill. I can understand that. It's not the same thing as, like, it's not the same thing as, like, being around somebody who's a different color than you. That's stupid to me. Like, why do you have such a bias or such a hate for somebody who is a different color than you? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that's something I never understood. It's like, yeah, we're all different shades. What does it matter? To where here it's like, this is a different thing. Vampires are immortal and they suck your blood. So, I mean, their main food source is us, so that's a different thing. If another race was like a bunch of cannibals, then I guess you'd say, yeah, you wouldn't want to be around them, it's a different thing. So that's another difference in here, is that Jason's like homophobic, and I'm just like, dude, like, during this time, really? I could see maybe you don't want to accept somebody that's gay. There's a difference between tolerance and hate. Like, you could tolerate somebody and, not hate them. So there's that. But yeah, like, there's all these like differences in this book that I saw that they did for the show. And I'm like, I mean, there's obviously things in the show that I like better than I like in here, but then there are things I like in here that I didn't like in the show, like, they made Sookie and Bill like this, like, like this couple, like, in the show, and here it's like, I don't know why she's with him. I honestly don't. And then, like, I see more of a connection between her and Eric. Like, he gets shot toward the end here. He gets shot, right? And I remember in the show, he had said, like, oh, so, kind of like, oh, Sookie, like, I gotta get the silver out of me, so you gotta suck it out. And I'm like, on the show, I was like, dude, she's not gonna fall for this. And she did, where she had sucked out, like, blood. And so she had, like, some connection to Eric for a little bit because she had sucked his blood. And that's exactly what Eric wanted, is like that, like, connection to her. In here, it was like no big deal, where she was like, okay, I'll suck your blood to get the bullet out. And then he kissed her. And it was like, no big deal. And I'm just like, girl, what the fuck? I'm like, you're all about Bill, but then you have no problem kissing Eric, no problem kissing Sam. Like, toward the beginning, Sam kisses her, because Sam's been in love with her for, like, forever, ever since he moved to Bonton. And it's like, girl, what the fuck, I'm just like, make up your mind who you want to be with, because it's like, she kisses Sam, and then, she's like, oh no, I'm with Bill, but she didn't have a problem with the kiss. It's not like she was like, ugh, disgusted with it. She was fine with it. Same thing with, like, Bill, Eric kissed her, and I was like, fine with that too. And I was just like, really? I'm like, for someone who's like, keeps thinking about Bill, and you keep having fights with each other, you certainly love to kiss other dudes. I'm just like, come on. And then, like, right now I'm at the part where they finally talk about Tara, okay? This is the other thing that's way different than the show. Tara in here is white. She's not black. She doesn't have, like, an attitude. She kind of seems more of, like, a little bit timid. She's dating this guy who is called Benedict, and in the show, she meets this guy called Benedict at the freaky lady that does all this different stuff, like, she's helping Tara, and I'm like, oh, girl, no one gets help for free, kind of thing. There's always some kind of, there's always something somebody's getting from somebody else. So, yeah, he's called Eggs, and I had looked into the lore a little bit, and obviously Tara and Eggs are not going to work out because he's an abuser, I think. And so I'm just like, okay, you know, in the book, like, she's a white lady. She's not black, you know, like on the show. And she isn't related to Lafayette. Because in the books, Lafayette was gay and black. So I was like, okay, so you had Tara related to Lafayette on the show, and I was like, okay, that was a big change. That's a big change right there. And so I wanted to kind of like get these thoughts in my head before I forgot about them, but I really wanted to get this down of like what I think about this so far. And I'm just like, man, she's kind of a pushover. Like, I'm not a really big fan of Sookie. She's kind of a pushover, and the stuff that she allows men to do to her, like, obviously, you know, she's not having sex with these other guys. She was only having sex with Bill, but still, it's like, you allow Sam to kiss you, you allow, you know, you allow Eric to kiss you. JB, this other dude who she used to kind of date, I think, or was interested in, he gave her a kiss on the cheek, and then, you know, she goes to turn, and Bill's like staring like a hole in her head, and, you know, like, you know, kind of mad. And I'm just like, dude. And then the other thing too is, oh, what's his name? Andy Belfour, who was, you know, kind of a jackass sheriff, or what was he? A lieutenant or something like that in the police department. He kind of was stupid, made some stupid stuff. His sister has a bigger role in here than she does on the show. On the show, it's like you hear of his sister, like, you know, they talk about her, but they don't show her, at least not yet in season 2, because I haven't finished yet. I wanted to get through the rest of this book before I delved back into season 2 of True Blood so I could finish it. But this here, it's like, there's a lot of changes from this book to the show, where Bill and Portia started dating or seeing each other or something. And I'm just like, dude, you know, like, it's just like, if you're a, like, I don't know, 100,000, something like that, year old vampire, which he's not a 1,000-year-old vampire. He's, what was he? Maybe like a Civil War. He's a Civil War vampire. I could say, you know, because during the Civil War, that's when he was turned. So, I mean, he's not that old of a vampire, but still, it's like, you like Sookie, so why would you bother dating this other woman? It's like, the only thing I could think of is the immaturity of saying, like, well, I'm going to make, you know, Sookie jealous. And it's like, no, you know, no. I hate fucking mind games like that. I just do. I don't like it. I don't like it. If I had somebody who did that to me, I'd be like, no, we're done. We're done. You're not we have problems. That's fine. We can go and, like, not talk to each other for a little bit. That's fine. But you start dating someone else, game's over. We ain't fucking doing this shit anymore. Because there's how many other guys out there in the world that would treat you better than how this other person's treating you? You know, like, if you've got problems and he's willing to go and date some other chick, do whatever else with some other chick, we're done. Bye. You know? So it's like, there's so many differences in here from the TV series. So many changes they made in the TV series. And I say, I mean, I kind of can understand where they were coming from when they wanted to make those changes for the show, to make it more, like, sensationalized, you know? I can understand that, you know? Keep the drama going. I was telling my husband about this, and it's like, yeah, I could see, like, so many, like, changes. So I'm gonna try to, like, push through, get through the rest of this book, and then end this vlog, because this is longer than I wanted this vlog to be. And also, like, I wasn't expecting to, like, it's now, like, the end of April, you know, like, it's now the end of April where I'm finally getting through the rest of this book, because I got bored, and I was like, I'm gonna put the book down a little bit. So this will probably end up getting posted sometime in May. But yeah, I mean, so many changes in here. And like I said, I don't consider this book a romance. It's just, it's not. Like, if you're going to go into this book expecting a romance, you're going to be surprised, because it's not. It's not really a romance. It's more of like, she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, she can't make up her mind. She has like these issues with him. Like, one minute she's fine, the next minute she's mad at him, and he doesn't know how to take her, you know, like her being mad at him. And it's like, you clearly aren't the right couple for each other. Because for me, it's like, me and my husband, every now and again, like, you know, I'll give him an attitude and he don't like it, you know, like, you know, I give him an attitude and he doesn't like it, you know, and then he kind of like backs away, you know, so I don't bite his head off. Or he gets like cranky and I'm kind of like, who pissed in your Cheerios, dude? You know, like, so I mean, you know, we have like our little spats and stuff like that, but not to where it's like, you know, we don't see each other for how many weeks. He goes and buys her earrings and she returns them, and I'm just like, honey, he's giving you a gesture, like, you know. Yeah, so I'm just like, girl, you know, like, make up your mind. I could see why people like wanted her and Eric to get together, but it's like, she clearly has a lot of issues when it comes to vampires. She clearly does. She kind of gives this like, oh, well, you know, they should accept vampires thing, but then it's like, there are things about vampires that she doesn't even like, you know? So she kind of has that, you know, if they would want to call it prejudice, she kind of has that prejudice a bit, you know? Even though she wants others to accept vampires, and it's like, girl, can you blame people for not wanting to accept vampires? They'll suck your blood, you know? And for her, it may have been a pleasure thing, you know? But it's like, not everybody has that same experience, you know, especially if it's not like through, you know, any kind of like, you're attracted to this person kind of thing, you know? But yeah, she's annoying, you know? I will say, like, the second book, I'm like, girl, I'm annoyed by you. You're making a lot of stupid decisions. I'm just like, girl. And then Bill, I'm just like, dude. I'm like, dude. You're not helping yourself. And then I was reading other things about like what happened with her and Bill, like in the book series, and I'm just like, whoa, that's a difference than the TV show, like a really big difference kind of thing, you know? So anyways, I'm going to finish off this one here, and then that'll be it for this for this vlog. I'm just like, oh my god, the huge differences in this series from the book compared to the show, you know? And like I said, there are things from both sides, like some things I like on the book side that I didn't like in the series, and some things in the series that I liked that wasn't involved in the book. And I'm just like, okay, you know, I'm like, there you go, like just completely changed the whole thing. But yeah, I will update you all later. Okay, so I finished the book, and I managed to get through the rest of season 2 of True Blood. I didn't remember this part, but in the book, Sookie infiltrates the Fellowship, which are, you know, like these Christians. They're all about like killing vampires and all that stuff. And I couldn't remember season 2. Season 2, she did infiltrate the Fellowship, but also her brother was in there too. So it's like she showed up and her brother was there, you know? And so in the book, he never was involved with the Fellowship. And then there was differences in here where there was a character that was a Maenad or something like that. It's like a Maenad. And it was some kind of weird creature where it had like where she would do like a bull head, and she had like these claws, and she lived for like many years, and it was kind of weird because in the book the character was named Callisto, I think, And here her name was Marianne Forrester, and she went and like would take people's hearts and stuff like that. Really weird. And so, you know, there was differences in the name. So I'm like, okay, that was it. But that wasn't like a huge thing. Like toward the end, there was like stuff going on where, you know, it was like weird stuff that they, you know, they were kind of like being, you know, mind controlled, I guess you'd say. Where it had like a longer storyline to the whole season. The whole season pretty much had this whole storyline of like her manipulating Tara, and then she starts manipulating other people in the town, and town gets all like fucking weird, crazy and shit. And meanwhile, Sookie and Bill and Eric were all like in Dallas. So there was like two different like storylines going on with the second season of the show. And this one here was like very much like them in Dallas for like most of it, and then, you know, and then the end of like season 2, you know, he's asking her to marry him, and I don't think I read that in this one. I don't think so. I don't think there was anything with toward the end. I don't know. I don't think so. And so I was like, oh, you know, it's a lot different. Like, there's a lot of differences in here from the book compared to the show. The show is definitely more sexual, sensationalized, definitely more drama going on in the series. Obviously, to keep things kind of like, you know, going. This here, like, at parts, it got kind of boring for me. It got a little bit boring, but I still give it a 4 because I still enjoyed it. But there were some parts in here that were a little bit boring. And then, like I said, I felt like when I watched the show, I definitely like seeing like Eric with Sookie. And I was like, I like them. They had a better chemistry than her and Bill. Bill, I don't know. I really didn't dig Bill. And same thing with this here. It's like, I'm not really a big fan of Bill. He just seems very like, for a vampire, you know, like he's very lifeless, you know, like he doesn't really have much of a personality, you know, where Eric has more of a personality. And I'm like, man, why couldn't she have like met Eric, you know, like been with him instead of Bill? Because I was like, I don't know. I don't really dig him. He's very kind of like boring. And, you know, Eric is very interesting, you know, and she like, I would say like she trusted the vampires a little too easily. And I was like, girl, you know, there are like some things that she trusted them like way too easily. And then there were other times that she kind of was like, had this like, I don't know, like I wouldn't say prejudice, but like there were things that she just kind of was like snooty about, you know? So that's kind of like how I felt with this here. It's like she was a little snooty. And then, you know, Tara was dating the dude Eggs. You know, his name is Benedict, but they call him Eggs. And as far as I know, I don't think things work out with them, because I kind of was reading like all of the stuff that happened in like, you know, all the books and stuff. So I kind of spoiled myself. But I wanted to know, like, where is there a Jessica? Which there isn't. There's no Jessica. So they put in the character of Jessica in the show, and there was no Jessica in here. And like I said, with the character of Tara, she very much is, you know, she was race swapped, obviously, for the show. You know, they swapped a race, put a black, you know, actress in there, which I did like. I did like Tara. Those were probably like my favorite characters, even though Tara's got a lot of stuff going on with her. I did like her character. She was very spunky. Where here, it's like, this character was very kind of like, not really much to her. So they definitely like fleshed out and made the character more of a personality, like in the show. Same thing with Lafayette. Lafayette was barely in here. And where on the show, he's pretty much like a regular, you know? And I really love Lafayette. That character is my favorite. Those two were probably my favorites out of all the characters, is Tara and Lafayette. They're probably definitely my favorites of mine. Sookie kind of like gets grating like on my nerves. Like she kind of irritates me at times. But those are probably my favorite. And then also I love Eric, Eric, and Pam's funny too, like those are probably my favorite characters. Is I'm not really into the main characters. Like Sookie and Bill, I really could give or take. I don't care. But Eric and Pam, I freaking love. Great characters. And the actors did a great job. And I really like Lafayette and Tara. Those are probably my favorite characters, everyone else was like, okay, Sam was okay. But yeah, I felt like she was a little too accepting of like other men's kisses and stuff. And I'm like, girl, be a little more discriminatory. I don't know, but it just seemed like she was a little too okay with accepting other men's kisses. And I was just like, girl, okay, you're supposed to be about Bill, but I'm like, I don't see that, So I'm like, okay, you can kind of give or take, okay? All right, so that's kind of like how I feel with her character. Is like, she very much had this obsession with Bill, in the show. And I was like, girl, why? I'm like, why? Why Bill? That dude is a wet piece of toast. I mean, honestly, it's just ew. Where, Eric Northman, I'm just like, yeah. Even in the books, I'm like, I want more of Eric, I want more of him. So, it's interesting. I'll just say that it's interesting watching the show while I'm reading the book. And I'm like, man, the difference is crazy. This is in here, and then you got this. There was more stuff going on. More stuff going on in the book for a couple of characters, where in the show it's like, oh, there's that character, but it was barely in the show for the second season. He was barely there, and I was like, oh wow, he had a little bit of bigger part in the book, there was definitely more chapters, and obviously, with a show it's got to kind of go quicker, obviously, to keep the pace going, where a book can pretty much kind of it could drag out a little bit longer. So I think that's probably what makes it different, is that, all that stuff. And there was something that happened toward the end of season 2, on the show, that I'm like, oh, that's sad, but I don't want to, I don't want to give that away. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do, I'll obviously do book 3 and book 4, and same thing with watch season 3, watch season 4. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that in June. Maybe I might do that in June, maybe July, because I get into this rut where I can't finish off series right away. Sometimes I have to span them out and stuff, because I get bored with the series, and then I'm like, okay, let me go back to it again. I did the same thing with the Janine Frost ones. I took a break because I wasn't feeling the one book. I was like, I'm not feeling this, so I decided to put it down for a little while. So I figured I'll probably do the same thing. Maybe I'll kind of skip a month, and I won't do anything with the Sookie Stackhouse series. Kind of give myself a break, and then I'll delve back into book 3 and book 4 and see how that goes. But yeah, I prefer Eric. I prefer Eric Northman over Bill Compton. Bill Compton, I'm just like, really? I don't know. I don't feel the connection. I don't feel the connection. She's just so quick to kind of give me space, and I'm like, girl, you need to make up your mind. I'm like, this is how many year old vampire, and you just play, you're kind of just playing mind games with them, I'm like, girl, make up your mind. So yeah, that was that differences. And there was other stuff on the show that was kind of a little bit more than what was involved in the book. So yeah, definitely different. But yeah, that's it. I need to get out of this closet. It's starting to get hot in here. But that's it for this video here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And I will see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.